Technical Sergeant Lisa Park had translated hundreds of intercepted radio transmissions during her deployment, but this frequency wasn't supposed to exist. The encrypted Arabic chatter she was decoding contained references to the professor and final exam, code words that didn't appear in any intelligence database. When she realized the messages were coordinating a chemical weapons attack, lost in translation became a matter of preventing mass casualties. The signals intelligence facility at Bagram Airfield operated around the clock, intercepting and analyzing enemy communications across Afghanistan's complex linguistic landscape. Technical Sergeant Lisa Park sat in a soundproof booth surrounded by sophisticated radio equipment, headphones pressed against her ears as she monitored multiple frequencies for hostile communications that might reveal enemy plans or troop movements. At 27, Lisa was one of the military's most capable Arabic linguists, fluent in multiple dialects and trained to recognize regional variations that could indicate the origin and intent of intercepted messages. Her linguistic skills had been developed through intensive military language training followed by 3 years of field experience, making her an invaluable asset for intelligence operations that depended on understanding enemy communications in real time. The signals intelligence mission was critical to force protection and operational success. By intercepting and translating enemy radio traffic, Lisa and her fellow linguists provided early warning of attacks, identified high-value targets, and gathered intelligence that kept American forces one step ahead of their adversaries. The work required absolute concentration, cultural knowledge, and the ability to distinguish between routine conversation and operationally significant information. Lisa's shift had begun at 2,200 hours with routine monitoring of known insurgent frequencies. Most intercepted communications were mundane, logistics coordination, personal messages between fighters, or propaganda broadcasts intended for local consumption. Occasionally, she would capture planning discussions for small-scale attacks or movement coordination between insurgent cells, information that would be immediately passed to tactical units for appropriate response. Tonight felt different from the moment she began her monitoring duties. The usual chatter on established frequencies was notably quiet, suggesting either reduced enemy activity or deliberate communication security measures. When significant operations were being planned, experienced insurgent groups often shifted to alternative frequencies or employed enhanced encryption to avoid detection by American signals intelligence. At 0347 hours, Lisa's equipment detected transmissions on a frequency that didn't match any known enemy communications network. The signal was weak, encrypted, and transmitted in brief bursts that suggested sophisticated communication security procedures. This wasn't the typical insurgent radio traffic she monitored nightly. This was professional-level operational security. Lisa fine-tuned her equipment to isolate the transmission and began the painstaking process of decryption and translation. The Arabic was formal, educated, using terminology that suggested the speakers had significant technical knowledge rather than the colloquial language typical of local. The conversation between two unidentified speakers initially seemed to focus on academic subjects. References to the professor, final exam, and graduation ceremony could have been innocent discussion about educational activities. But Lisa's training had taught her to recognize when seemingly innocent conversations contained coded meanings, and something about this exchange triggered her analytical instincts. As she continued monitoring and translating, patterns emerged that suggested the academic references were actually operational code words. The professor appeared to be a person or entity in charge of a significant operation. Final exam seemed to reference a specific date or milestone. Graduation ceremony was mentioned in context that suggested a culminating event with broad implications. Lisa cross-referenced the coded terminology against intelligence databases, searching for similar language patterns in previous intercepted communications. What she discovered made her pulse quicken. Similar academic references had appeared in communications prior to major terrorist attacks in other regions, suggesting this wasn't random word choice, but part of an established code system. Intercept control, this is Linguist Station 7. Lisa transmitted to her supervisor. on monitoring unknown frequency with encrypted Arabic communications using possible coded terminology. Request guidance on further analysis procedures. Copy Station 7. Continue monitoring and provide detailed translation. Flag any operationally significant content immediately. Over the next hour, Lisa intercepted additional transmissions that confirmed her worst suspicions. The academic code words were being used to coordinate a complex operation involving multiple participants. The breakthrough came when one of the speakers referenced chemistry lessons and proper ventilation procedures while discussing the upcoming final exam. Combined with mentions of avoiding contamination and protective equipment, the conversation was clearly planning chemical weapons deployment rather than discussing actual educational activities. Lisa's hands moved quickly across her keyboard as she documented the intercepts and prepared urgent intelligence reports. The academic code system was sophisticated enough to fool casual listeners, but detailed analysis revealed operational planning for what appeared to be a chemical weapons attack against American or Allied forces. Intercept control. This is Station 7. I have critical intelligence. The unknown frequency is coordinating chemical weapons attack using academic code words. Request immediate escalation to watch officer. The response was immediate. Station 7, stand by. Watch officer is being notified. Continue monitoring and document all intercepts. Lost in translation protocol may be activated. Lost in translation protocol was the emergency procedure for situations where linguistic intelligence revealed imminent threats requiring immediate military response. The protocol emphasized rapid analysis, verification through multiple sources, and immediate distribution to units that could take preventive action. As Lisa continued monitoring the frequency, additional details emerged about the planned attack. References to classroom locations appeared to indicate specific targets, while discussions of student attendance suggested timing based on personnel density. The attackers were planning to maximize casualties by timing their chemical weapons deployment when the largest number of potential victims. The most chilling revelation came when the speakers referenced multiple campuses and coordinated final exams. This wasn't a single attack. It was a synchronized chemical weapons assault against multiple American installations, timed to occur simultaneously for maximum psychological and operational impact. Watch officer, this is Station 7. Lost in translation protocol should be activated immediately. I have confirmed intelligence of coordinated chemical weapons attacks against multiple U.S. installations. The threat is imminent and involves sophisticated planning and resources. Within minutes, the Signals Intelligence Facility transformed into a crisis action center. Additional linguists were brought in to monitor related frequencies. Intelligence analysts began correlating the intercepts with other sources, and military commanders were briefed on the threat that Lisa's linguistic skills had uncovered. The subsequent investigation revealed that the professor was a former chemical engineer who had been developing improvised chemical weapons for terrorist organizations. The final exam was scheduled for the following week, during a period when multiple American bases would be conducting large-scale training exercises that would concentrate personnel in vulnerable areas. Lisa's continued monitoring provided real-time intelligence that allowed military forces to identify and neutralize the chemical weapon cells before they could execute their attack. The academic code system that had been designed to hide their communications had actually provided detailed information about their plans, locations, and timing once the linguistic analysis revealed its true meaning. War 1. Dozens of improvised chemical devices were seized, and multiple terror cells were neutralized before they could deploy their weapons against American personnel. Station 7. This is Watch Officer. Outstanding work tonight. Your linguistic analysis prevented mass casualties and neutralized a significant threat to American forces. Lost in translation protocol has been successfully executed. As Lisa completed her detailed intelligence reports and prepared for debrief, she reflected on how her language skills had transformed seemingly innocent academic discussions into actionable intelligence that saved lives. The terrorists' sophisticated code system had been undone by careful linguistic analysis and cultural knowledge that revealed the deadly reality hidden within their academic metaphors. Technical Sergeant Lisa Park had started her shift expecting routine monitoring of enemy communications. Instead, she had uncovered and helped defeat a coordinated chemical weapons attack that could have killed hundreds of American soldiers. Her ability to recognize coded language and understand cultural context had proven that sometimes the most important military victories were won not with weapons, but with words. Lost in Translation Protocol had been successfully executed, and the lives that were saved would never know they owed their survival to a linguist who understood that in the intelligence world, nothing was ever lost in translation. It was just waiting for the right person to understand its true meaning.